I think in the stream of various sessions, I think we have got a few moments for contemplation, to know, to understand, to revise, and to kind of diving deeper into the concept which we are discussing from past 3 and 4 days. And today, when we are in Delhi, when we are in the largest democracy of the world, when we are in Bharat, so I think each one of us being here, part of this fantastic session, when the term is reimagining governance, so we all can reimagine in our own way. And in a short while from now, our honorable chief guest and honorable guest of honors and all the dignitaries are going to arrive in the stage, and we will start the session immediately. Thank you. Now our honorable chief guest has arrived in Bharat Mandapam. In next 60 seconds, he will be here with us on the dais, and we will start the session. So once again, we would like to welcome you all on behalf of All World Gayatri Parivar, Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, and India AI Mission. When we talk about democracy, there is a wonderful concept that each individual plays a very vital role, because together we make it an individual. When individuals join hands together, they become family. When families join hands together, they become a society, and the society is also named as the democracy. And the very fantastic example of a smallest democracy could be a family. And this is the thought which we got to learn from the philosophy of All World Gayatri Parivar and India, Bharat, Rishi's tradition. And you will be happy that today in this deliberation, if you are here, you are going to get something very unique. Our honorable chief guest is about to arrive, and we are about to start the session. So in the age of artificial intelligence, when intelligence, we are thinking about creating and mimicking it in the artificial way. But being human, I think being happy is a natural state of being human. And with that happiness on your faces, and with zeal, enthusiasm, and positive vibes, we are about to start Artificial Intelligence for Democracy, Reimagining Governance in the Age of Intelligence. When we have some eminent dignitaries in the panel, and they have various responsibilities. So amidst those responsibilities, they are making out their time, and they are about to arrive in the auditorium, and we are about to start the session. Arrived and we are about to start the session. So when we are together and we are talking about artificial intelligence for democracy, reimagining governance in the age of intelligence. So I think once our honorable guest will arrive inside, we can clap and we can smile, and with that energy we will start the session. So we are welcoming our honorable chief guest, Mr. Om Birla ji, Speaker of Parliament of India. Our guest of honor, Mr. Martin Chongung ji, Secretary General IPU, Mr. Lazos Olaji, Deputy Speaker, Parliament of Hungary, Dr. Chinmay Pandya ji from All World Gayatri Parivar, and Sofia Gemina ji from Mexico. Please put your hands together and let's welcome, kindly rise up, and we welcome our honorable chief guest, Honorable Om Birla ji, Speaker of Parliament of India. Our Honorable Dr. Chinmay Pandya ji, Chair and host of the event from All World Gayatri Parivar. The team is requesting for a group photograph in the initial session so that they can present it as a memento. So our honorable speakers are requested to kindly join for a group photograph, and then further we will proceed. Our honorable speakers, the photography team wants a group photo of yours, so if you can kindly okay. So let's start the session, AI for Democracy, and now I would like to invite Ms. Honorable Gemina Sofia Veveros, President, Human AI Foundation, Mexico, to address us on the theme Critical Challenges in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. Please welcome Honorable Ms. Gemina Sofia Veveros.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be back here in India. As a fellow citizen of the Global South, I am very happy to see these discussions taking place here. So thank you, the Government of India, for hosting us and the organizers of this event. We're here to discuss a very important topic, AI for democracy. And I want to emphasize the phrasing of this. It is AI for democracy. How can AI actually serve democracy instead of eroding democracy? If we think about the pillars where any democracy lies and can bear fruits, and from accountability, rule of law, oversight, transparency, inclusivity, equity, justice, just to name a few. These are the same principles that should guide us in the quest for global governance of AI. Global governance of AI is the precursor for a democratic development and deployment of these technologies in an era where they're still being concentrated in a few very few companies and even less countries. So the way to democratize these technologies is through inclusive participation, through global governance that moves beyond voluntary commitments and into binding agreements. It goes from principles and guidelines into measurable standards and benchmarks and different commitments that at a global stage can actually materialize democratic principles. We need guardrails that are clearly defined, and we also need clearly defined red lines, especially for the benefit that can be reaped from these technologies and mitigating the risks. So this is what affects most vulnerable populations, like us in the Global South, who we will not be able to experience these benefits of AI if we are not able to collectively manage and mitigate these risks, especially in critical sectors. Because if we don't find the balance point between these two. And we will not be able to move into democracy points of reference for these technologies. So what I stand here is to encourage you all to call upon your representatives and your leaders to come to the global sphere, and all of you, innovators, and multi-stakeholders of all places of the world to come along in this movement, because we definitely need safe, responsible, ethical, and secure development and deployment of AI across all sectors and across all domains and across all regions. So this is what I encourage you all to participate in, to make AI serve democracies, not undermine them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Weber-Rose, for your deliberations. Now it's a momentous occasion. I would like to invite for context framing Dr. Chinmay Pandya ji, chair and host of the event from All World Gayatri Parivar.
बहुत धन्यवाद गोपाल. Chief guest of the event, Honorable Shri Om Birla ji, Secretary General of the Interparliamentary Union, Honorable Mr. Martin Chungong, Deputy Speaker of the Hungarian Parliament, dear Jimena, all the distinguished dignitaries present here, brothers and sisters from different parts of the world. Good afternoon to everyone and my respectful pranams from Haridwar. First of all, being a Bharatiya, being an Indian, I extend my warmest welcome to everyone who has traveled all the way from different parts of the world to Bharat. And not only I extend my warmest welcome on behalf of Bharat, I also extend my warmest welcome on behalf of Gayatri Parivar. We have 150 million members, 5,000 centers, and it's an absolute delight to have you here. And today we have got a scintillating session on the AI for democracy. India being the largest democracy in the world, and also the first country to have established a democratic foundation, Lichavi Ganarajya Vaishali, and also India playing a very significant role in the artificial intelligence. I believe this had been the most important event. We are more or less actually reaching to the culmination of this historical AI summit. So nothing could have been a better kind of end than thinking about AI for democracy. And we have chosen this title because the title itself signals both promise and provocation. Promise because AI offers unprecedented tools for governance, and provocation because democracy, if we all think about it, at its very heart is not a technical system, it's a deeply human one. And we are living through the historical times where technology is evolving faster than the political institutions. And AI is sitting at the very heart of this transformation. Now, AI algorithms can allow you and I to see the information. It can also ensure that how services are delivered, how resources are allocated, how decisions are made. So that is why the fundamental question that is in front of our most wonderful panel is to think about whether AI would strengthen the democracy or would it quietly erode it. And the reason to ask that question is very simple. Democracy is built on the principles of participation, honesty, equality, trust, transparency. And AI is built on the principles of data, automation, optimization, and no one can truly predict that if these two very contrasting looking systems, they intersect, then what would be the outcome? It totally depends upon who is designing AI, who is deploying AI, who is governing AI, and by whom. So on one hand, we have got unprecedented promise offered to us by the AI for democratic renewal. It can make governments service delivery better, it can reduce the corruption, it can help civil servants, policy makers to navigate the complexities of a system that no human mind can deal on their own. But on the other hand, as we say in Gita, dhumena vahati agni yatha darsho malenacha. Wherever there is fire, there is also some smoke. Wherever there is something good, you also need to be concerned about something. And what we are concerned about are multitude of things. AI has got capacity to amplify the misinformation. It has got a power to deepen the polarization. It has got a capacity to manipulate the public opinion. 2 years ago, this would have been a speculation but now it has become a reality. I mean, look at the news from last year. In Romania, the Constitutional Court had to cancel the presidential elections. Presidential elections because AI was fiddling with the election. So imagine that. It has a capacity to concentrate the power in the hand of few, those who control data, those who control technology, those who control the algorithms. And democracy is meant to distribute the power among everyone, not to concentrate in the hand of few. So the real question that we are asking is not how AI is going to be used for democracy, but it should be used democratically. It should be used by everyone. And that's why the second title, second part of our theme is reimagining governance, because what we essentially need is 4 types of governance. We need a governance at the level of public institutions, laws, regulatory bodies, public institutions. They should not only be able to understand the AI-mediated system, they should be able to oversee it. We need a technological governance, because whose values are encoded into the AI? We just need to think about that. We need a civic governance. The digital literacy should be at par with the digital power. And also we need global governance, because AI has no reason to respect the national borders, and democracy is largely confined within them. So how cross-border AI platforms would affect the democratic foundations, no one knows. And I know as host that these are not the very easy questions, and they don't have very quick fixes. But it is important for us to remember that democracy, when it was built in India, the Rishi who wrote the foundation of it, he said democracy is like a river. It's constantly evolving and constantly developing. And AI has, democracy has survived through multiple challenges. It has passed through public media, print media, mass media, radio, television, internet, and now AI is the new challenge. But unlike previous technologies, it is not only a supplier of the information. It is not merely transmitting it. It can manipulate, it can predict, it can act, it can modify. So stakes are higher. Technologists alone cannot design it. Policymakers alone cannot control it. And civic society alone cannot criticize it. It requires collective intelligence. And that's why precisely we have got this dynamic panel from all sectors of the society. I remember Gurdev in 1987, when he was writing the famous book, Parivartan Ke Mahan Kshan, he wrote that current times may look dark and gloomy, but they should not bring fear or despair to us. Rather, we should embrace them like a call of action, because they are a sign that we are born at a very special time when entire humanity has been called to accomplish that was never accomplished before, which is to fight together the misfortunes of today's world together. Together as one single race, together as one single civilization, together as one single humanity, and together as one single family. And that's what we intend to do, because AI has got something very special. It is critically embedded in every infrastructure of human civilization. So its power is growing. And as the power is growing, so does our collective responsibility to ensure that this power is aligned with the human values, social stability, and planetary well-being. And as host, my duty is not to provide the answer, but to raise the right question. And the right question that we have got today is not how AI would influence democracy, because it already does. The real question is that how democracy would influence the artificial intelligence. And that is what we are asking here today, and I'm delighted that we have got the most wonderful panel here.
Thank you, Dr. Pandya, chair and host of the event from All Old Gayatri Parivar, for this powerful message. Democratic institution, Mr. Lazos Olahaji, Deputy Speaker, Parliament of Hungary.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Honorable Speaker Om Birla, Namaskar. First of all, please give a big applause for the organizers. What they have done is tremendous. First conference in the South, which one is important for the whole world. Thank you so much for organizing this. For the first time in human history, we are confronted with a technology whose inner workings are not understood by the vast majority of population, including many politicians like me. Its internal processes largely remain a black box. For the first time, humanity faces a technology in which hundreds of millions of people may come to believe that there are scenarios in which they themselves are no longer necessary. For the first time, a technology may reach a stage at which individuals can no longer reliably determine whether what they see is real. For the first time, a technology can cross national borders with unprecedented ease, largely unconstrained by traditional regulatory frameworks. For the first time, private companies are able to influence the direction of our world to an abnormal extent without meaningful state oversight or democratic accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, technological development does not automatically equal to social development or progress. The history of democracy demonstrates that major technological revolutions create new power structures and can profoundly disrupt existing social consensus. The worst-case scenario is not that artificial intelligence makes mistakes, but that it functions especially well at a moment when there is no internationally accepted consensus on democratic and ethical boundaries. Under such conditions, AI would not serve as a tool of democracy, but rather as its invisible transformer. We should not expect a sudden revolutionary collapse, but instead a gradual erosion of democratic systems. The gravest outcome will not be that citizens believe a deepfake, but that they eventually believe nothing at all. An increasing number of fabricated yet convincing videos will circulate, while genuine political scandals will be dismissed as deepfakes. Voters will lose not only the ability, but also the motivation to distinguish truth from falsehood. In this undesirable scenario, elections will remain formally intact, but technically functional, yet their main meaning will disappear. Political campaigns will become foggy, messaging will consist of individuals' manipulation, and no one will know what promises made to others. Elections will resemble psychological experiments rather than democratic contests. Political debate will erode, and accountable political programs will cease to exist. In such circumstances, manipulation will always be cheaper and faster than defending ourselves against them. Public authorities and independent media will lag behind, while malicious actors remain one step ahead. Accountability will gradually vanish. There will be no clear responsible actors, no effective legal remedies, and no opportunity for institutional learning. The democracy cannot function in the absence of accountability. If it happens, people can expect increasing demands for strong-handed leadership, declining tolerance, and a diminishing commitment to pluralism. Dictatorial models may appear more efficient to ordinary citizens, offering faster decisions, fewer debates, and less disorder, while parliamentary systems, by their very nature, seem slow and chaotic. When we assess the current situation, it becomes clear that substantial work lies ahead, not at the national level alone, but collectively. Success is possible only if we acknowledge that we do not share a single understanding of ethical AI, nor do we hold identical views on democratic institutions. We face a choice: either we step back or allow the worst-case scenario to unfold, or we seek at least a minimal common denominator and begin laying the foundations of ethical artificial intelligence, which is capable of supporting democratic systems. Fostering international cooperation in the field of AI governance is a complex task. Over the past 6 months from Hungary, my colleagues and I have engaged with institutions in more than 50 countries to assess their approaches to AI and electoral integrity. What we have observed is a highly uneven level of preparedness. While some countries are developing comprehensive guidelines, strategies, ethical frameworks, and competitive capacities, others, due to limited expertise, infrastructures, or resources, are only beginning these discussions. Nonetheless, we must pursue shared solutions. Without them, unethical AI will always find a foothold somewhere from which it can undermine even those systems that strive to operate ethically. Ladies and gentlemen, politicians are often asked, who bears responsibility? One answer is certainly wrong. The algorithm decided. Here we may turn to centuries of Indian philosophical thought for guidance. Its message is clear. Responsibility lies with the actor, not with the tool. Artificial intelligence may function as a library of knowledge, but it's not a guru. It can follow ethical rules encoded within it, but it does not live or comprehend them like us humans. Decision makers must both understand and internalize these ethical principles. Ladies and gentlemen, if political leaders demonstrate courage and genuine capacity for international cooperation, as this conference clearly illustrates, we will realize the positive potential of artificial intelligence. Truth will not disappear. AI can assist in the detection of deepfakes. AI can significantly enhance institutional transparency. Citizens can gain deeper insight into administrative and decision-maker processes. AI can play a crucial role in making the use of public funds more transparent, thereby strengthening public trust. It can support better, more informed public policy decisions. It can expand citizen participation through feedback, analysis, online consultation, and participatory budgeting, bringing the will of voters closer to those who govern. Ethical artificial intelligence will never replace democratic institutions, but it can reinforce them if it's guided by the principles of transparency, accountability, human oversight, and civic participation. The question, therefore, is not whether AI will be used within democratic system, but what kind of values will shape its use. Let me be optimistic. If those values are clearly defined, artificial intelligence will not threaten democracy. It will become one of its instruments, and in the end, potentially, a means of its renewal. So, dear honorable guests, do not afraid to use AI, cooperate, and do not forget to be human. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Lazos. And now moving further for guest of honor's address, who programs democracy when AI enters governance. It's our great honor and pleasure to invite Secretary General, Inter-Parliamentary Union, Mr. Martin Chung-Gong ji.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Honorable Speaker Bila, Dr. Pandya, Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Hungary, distinguished ladies and gentlemen present here, let me start by thanking Dr. Pandya for involving the Inter-Parliamentary Union, the Global Organization of Parliaments, in the organization of this very important session at the AI Summit here in Delhi. I'm deeply honored to be here today in the presence of the Honorable Speaker to address you today at this landmark summit. India's decision to host the AI Impact Summit here in New Delhi sends a powerful signal. It proves that the conversation about artificial intelligence cannot be confined to capitals of a few nations or the boardrooms of technology companies. This dialogue must belong to all of humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, India has a track record of technological development, including in the area of AI. And as has been mentioned earlier this afternoon, it is also the largest democracy in the world. So where could we find a better venue for a meeting that would bring democracy together with technology and AI? I say this because the theme of this session, AI for Democracy, cuts to the heart of the matter. We are not simply debating a new technology, we are debating the future shape of power. Who will hold it? Who will be accountable for it? And will the institutions that citizens depend upon, institutions built over generations to protect rights, resolve disputes, and represent the will of the people, be strengthened or sidelined in the age of artificial intelligence? Let me be very direct about what is at stake. Artificial intelligence is not a future challenge. It is transforming our societies now. Artificial intelligence generated content already features in election campaigns across multiple continents. Deepfakes have been used to discredit political actors, disproportionately affecting women. Algorithmic systems are making decisions about who receives public services, who qualifies for a loan, or who is flagged for surveillance. Those who design, train, and deploy these systems will influence not only over individual users, but also the information environment of democracy itself. At the first Interparliamentary Conference on Responsible AI last November in Malaysia, members of parliament raised cases that brought this risk into sharp focus. In Amsterdam, an automated traffic management system inadvertently routed congestion through low-income neighborhoods because the algorithm had learned that those communities lacked the political influence to object. Examples like this will scale rapidly if governance does not keep pace, perpetuating harms against those historically excluded from decision-making. Yet, democratic governance is not keeping pace. Power is accumulating rapidly in the hands of those at the forefront of AI development. A handful of technology corporations now command market capitalizations exceeding the entire equity markets of major industrialized nations, while millions of workers in the global south are paid little to annotate the data sets on which the systems are trained. The benefits of AI are increasingly concentrated, while many of the costs fall on those with the least power to shape the technology. This is not merely an economic concern, it is a democratic concern. When the systems that govern aspects of people's daily lives, their access to information services and economic opportunity are controlled by a small number of actors without meaningful public oversight, then the social contract itself is under strain. That is why we must frame this not simply as technology policy, but as democratic governance. The choices made today about how AI is developed, deployed, and regulated involve trade-offs between innovation and safety, efficiency and equity, profit and the public interest. In any healthy democracy, those trade-offs are debated openly, decided transparently, and subject to accountability. The parliamentary community declared in Malaysia that we do not accept the concentration of power in the hands of a few actors. They called on all stakeholders to agree upon red lines that this technology cannot cross. They insisted on an equal voice for the global South. And they called on all parliaments to engage actively with AI governance efforts at every level. The principle that elected legislatures shape the rules governing society is the cornerstone of democracy. But the contribution of parliaments to AI governance goes beyond that basic principle. Parliaments are where the real-world impact of AI meets political accountability. Members of parliament hear directly from workers affected by automation, from communities concerned with algorithmic decision-making, from parents navigating their children's relationship with technology. This connects governance to lived experience and informs the AI debate through the values of the people. Parliaments can and must stimulate that broader societal conversation through hearings, consultations, and multi-stakeholder dialogues. I believe you heard what the Deputy Speaker of Hungary said about the practices in his country, which I believe is the path down which we would want to travel. This brings me to the international dimension. AI is a truly global challenge whose effects transcend national borders. As we would say, AI doesn't have a national passport. While the risks are real, from job displacement to environmental costs, so too are the opportunities. AI has genuine potential to improve healthcare, expand access to education, and accelerate progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. But those benefits will not be shared equitably by default. That requires deliberate, collective action, and it requires that the countries with the most to gain are not shut out of the conversation. Yet, international AI governance remains fragmented and short on binding commitments. Geopolitical competition risks fracturing governance efforts further. That is why this summit, I say this summit, and those which will follow, must embody the inclusive, participatory approach that the equitable governance of AI demands. Parliaments are pivotal to ensuring coherence between domestic legislation, established human rights, and evolving international standards, and to holding their governments accountable for the commitments made at summits like this one. The Interparliamentary Union is committed to supporting that engagement. In the past 2 years, over 60 parliaments have taken action on AI, from comprehensive legislation to oversight inquiries. Across the world, parliaments are forming cross-party groups, establishing specialized committees, and building capacity. The foundations are being laid, but they need to be built on faster with increased coordination across borders. Parliaments are also beginning to explore how AI can support their own work, and those that experience its promise and limitations firsthand will bring far greater understanding to the task of governing it. So, let me return to the principle at the heart of what I have said today. Democracy cannot be automated. It must be shaped by every one of us through our democratic institutions, through open debate, through laws made transparently and enforced fairly, and through international cooperation in which every nation can participate. The choices we make will determine whether AI furthers democracy or erodes it. If we succeed, AI can become a tool for inclusion, participation, human rights, and better governance. If we fail, it risks becoming a force which concentrates power, weakens accountability, and erodes trust in public institutions, including parliaments. The task before us is to embed democratic accountability, human rights, and the rule of law at the heart of how AI is designed, deployed, and governed. This summit is a critical opportunity to advance that mission. Let us make the most of it together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chungong. And now, in this momentous occasion, it's our great honor and pleasure, as today we have with us as chief guest, Honorable Mr. Om Birla Ji, Speaker of Parliament of India. When democracy meets AI, what are the opportunities for that, for deliberation? Please put your hands together and we invite Honorable Om Birla Ji.
AI फॉर डेमोक्रेसी के इस कार्यक्रम में आज हमारे बीच में आईपीयू के सेक्रेटरी जनरल, आईपीयू दुनिया के 190 से ज़्यादा देश की संसद की एक संस्था है, जहां पर दुनिया भर की संसदों के अंदर किस तरीके से हम नए इनोवेशन, टेक्नोलॉजी और लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं को जनता के प्रति जवाबदेही बना सकें, इसके लिए समय समय पर दुनिया के सभी पार्लियामेंट चर्चा करते रहते हैं। उन आईपीयू के सेक्रेटरी जनरल मार्टिन चुंगओक का मैं यहाँ पर स्वागत करता हूँ, अभिनंदन करता हूँ। पार्लियामेंट ऑफ हंगरी के पार्लियामेंट के डिप्टी चेयरमैन लेजोस आलाव जी का भी मैं स्वागत करता हूँ। मिस जिमेना सोफिया विवेरोस, जो हम एलन फाउंडेशन की मैक्सिको से आई है, और विशेष रूप से जिनके सानिध्य में ये कार्यक्रम का आयोजन हो रहा है, भारत की संस्कृति, भारत के नैतिक मूल्य, भारत की आध्यात्मिक को दुनिया में हम कैसे भारत की आध्यात्मिक संस्कृति के ज्ञान को पहुंचा सकते हैं, इसके लिए लंबे समय से विश्व गायत्री परिवार लगातार प्रयास कर रहा है, और विश्व गायत्री परिवार ने दुनिया के कई देशों के अंदर जाकर भारतीय संस्कृति, आध्यात्मिक, भारत की ज्ञान परंपरा को पहुंचाने का बहुत बड़ा काम किया है। मैं डॉक्टर चिन्मय पांडे जी को भी धन्यवाद देता हूं, जिन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया। मेरा चिन्मय पांडन जी के दादाजी आचार्य श्री राम शर्मा जी और माता जी ने भारत नहीं दुनिया के अंदर कई लोगों के जीवन को वैदिक रूप से आध्यात्मिक संस्कृति के रूप में लोगों के बहुत बड़े जीवन को परिवर्तन करने का काम किया और लगातार ये संस्था छोटे गांव से लेकर बड़े शहर और दुनिया के कई देशों के अंदर इस आध्यात्मिक नैतिक मूल्यों को पहुंचाने का काम कर रही है। और इसी के साथ यहाँ पर जो देव संस्कृति विद्यालय है जो अद्भुत है, जहाँ देव संस्कृति विद्यालय के अंदर नैतिक आध्यात्मिक मूल्यों की शिक्षा तो दी जाती है, लेकिन साथ में आधुनिकता में टेक्नोलॉजी, जो भी दुनिया की नई शिक्षा पद्धति है, उस शिक्षा पद्धति को भी भारतीय नैतिक मूल्य आध्यात्मिक के शिक्षा देकर एक नैतिक समाज के निर्माण के लिए इस विश्वविद्यालय की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है। मेरा कई बार वहाँ जाना हुआ। जिस विद्यालय के अंदर आप जाएंगे तो आप देखेंगे कि वहाँ पर वैदिक मूल्य भी, नैतिक शिक्षा भी, आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान भी, योग भी, सभी तरीके की शिक्षाओं के साथ साथ दुनिया की बदलती शिक्षा व्यवस्था के अंदर तकनीकी शिक्षा और तकनीकी शिक्षा के माध्यम से समाज जीवन में परिवर्तन करते हुए एक नैतिक राष्ट्र के निर्माण के लिए इस विश्वविद्यालय में अद्भुत शिक्षा दी जाती है। और मुझे खुशी है कि आपने आज AI फॉर डेमोक्रेसी और भविष्य में लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं, लोकतंत्र के अंदर हम संवाद और की परंपराओं को आगे बढ़ाकर किस तरीके से टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करके इन लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं को जनता के प्रति जवाबदेही, लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं के अंदर पारदर्शिता, लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं की जवाबदेही और लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं के अंदर चुने हुए जनप्रतिनिधियों की क्षमता को बढ़ाना, टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग कर वो किस तरीके से जनता और लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं के बीच में एक बेहतर संवाद कर सकते हैं, ताकि एक जवाबदेही संस्था के साथ एक जवाबदेही नैतिक मूल्य वाले जनप्रतिनिधि देश के विकास में योगदान कर सकें। और मुझे खुशी है, इसके लिए दुनिया भर की संसदें अपने अपने स्तर पर काम कर रही है। अभी हाल में ही कॉमनवेल्थ देशों के स्पीकरों का सम्मेलन CSPOC का आयोजन करने का भारत की संसद को ये सौभाग्य मिला। और इस संसद के इस सम्मेलन में कॉमनवेल्थ पार्लियामेंट देश के कई स्पीकर आए, डिप्टी स्पीकर आए, प्रतिनिधि आए और इसमें लंबी चर्चा हुई कि हम किस तरीके से लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं के अंदर AI का उपयोग करें, एक जवाबदेही टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करें, एक उत्तरदायी टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करें, ताकि हम देश की सभी लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं को, उनकी कार्य संस्कृति को, संवाद को, चर्चा को एक बेहतर बना सकें। और इसके लिए भारत की संसद भी बड़े स्तर पर काम कर रही है। भारत की संसद के साथ हमारी राज्य की विधानसभाएं वह भी टेक्नोलॉजी पर काम कर रही है और भारत के अंदर विधानसभाएं, लोकसभा, सारी विधानसभा, लोकसभा आज पेपरलेस हो चुकी है। यह हम सबके लिए, क्योंकि भारत दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी वाला देश है, डेमोग्राफी भी हमारी अद्भुत है, हमारी भाषा विविधताएं भी है, हमारे खान पान रहन सहन भी विविधताएं वाले हैं। इतनी विविधता वालों देश होने के बाद भी हमने प्रयास किया कि एआई का प्रयोग जवाबदेही के साथ होना चाहिए, उत्तरदायी के साथ होना चाहिए, विश्वसनीयता के साथ होना चाहिए। और इसीलिए इस दिशा के अंदर भारत की संसद ने डिजिटल संसद, इस डिजिटल संसद के अंदर सभी राज्य की विधानसभाएं और हमारे लोकसभा, राज्यसभा, उसकी कार्रवाई आप एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर देख सकते हैं। और 2026 तक डिजिटल संसद के अंदर सारी विधानसभाओं की कार्रवाई, डिबेट, चर्चा, वह भी आप एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर देख सकते हैं। और इसीलिए हमने इस पे बड़े स्तर पर काम करना शुरू किया है। आज अधिकतर हमारी विधानसभाएं, ज़्यादातर नहीं सारी विधानसभाएं पेपरलेस हो चुकी है। उनकी जितनी भी डिबेट है, जितनी भी चर्चा है, जितने भी विधेयक पास हुए हैं, जितने भी बजट हैं, राज्य के जितने भी मुद्दे हैं, केंद्र के जितने मुद्दे हैं, उन सब डिबेट को विधानसभा शुरू होने से लेकर अभी तक डिजिटलाइजेशन का काम हो चुका है। और 2026 तक जो बची विधानसभा के अंदर भी ये पूरा काम होने के बाद हम देश में एक ऐसा मॉडल देंगे कि दुनिया की सारी संसदें भारत की राज्य की विधानसभाओं से लेकर संसद की कार्रवाइयों को एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर देख सकें और उसके अंदर नए इनोवेशन मिले। उस इनोवेशन के साथ हमने ये भी प्रयास किया है कि उसमें एआई का उपयोग हो, क्योंकि विषय मेटा डेटा पर आप सब्जेक्ट को, मुद्दे पर, चर्चा पर जब कभी जाएंगे तो इतने सारे उन डिबेट के अंदर आप कैसे सर्च कर पाएंगे। इसलिए एआई टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करते हुए सारी राज्य की विधानसभाएं, लोकसभा एक प्लेटफॉर्म पाएगी और मेटा डेटा से आप सब्जेक्ट और राज्य के सारे विषयों को भी देख पाएंगे, पढ़ पाएंगे। इससे हमारे लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं के अंदर हमारे जनप्रतिनिधियों की क्षमता बढ़ेगी, डिबेट, चर्चा का स्तर ऊंचा होगा और कानून बनाते समय हम संपूर्ण लोगों के विचारों के मत का समावेशन करते हुए कानून भी बेहतर बनाएंगे और कानून बनाते समय राज्य की विधानसभा, लोकसभा में चर्चा भी अच्छी होगी। इसके लिए भारत टेक्निकली रूप से मैं कह सकता हूं कि एआई के रूप में भारत तकनीकी नवाचारों का एक नया मॉडल बनेगा दुनिया की संसदों के लिए। मुझे खुशी है कि माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में आज दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी एआई कॉन्फ्रेंस यहां हो रही है, जिसमें 100 से ज्यादा देशों के लोग आए हैं, प्रतिनिधि आए हैं, राष्ट्र अध्यक्ष आए हैं, संसद के सदस्य आए हैं और ये सब यहां पर किस तरीके से बदलती दुनिया के अंदर हम एआई का उपयोग करते हुए किस तरीके से लोगों के क्षमता निर्माण, इंडस्ट्रीज हो, एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर हो, चाहे अन्य सेक्टर हो, उनकी उत्पादकता को बढ़ाना, और दुनिया के अंदर सबसे नौजवान देश भारत है। आज भारत का नौजवान तकनीकी रूप से नए नवाचार कर रहा है, और इसीलिए भारत की ये युवा जनसंख्या ही भारत की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है। और इसीलिए इस ताकत का उपयोग सही दिशा में हो, सकारात्मक हो, नवाचार के रूप में हो, ताकि दुनिया की चुनौतियों का समाधान भारत दे सके। और इस दिशा के अंदर हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। मुझे आशा है कि हमारा टैलेंट दुनिया के अंदर अभूतपूर्व है। हमारे नौजवानों की क्षमता, चिंतन, नवाचार, आत्मविश्वास अद्भुत है, क्योंकि उसमें आध्यात्मिक नैतिक मूल्य भी है। और देव संस्कृति विद्यालय जहाँ टेक्नोलॉजी के रूप में तकनीकी नवाचारों में नौजवानों को वेद देविक शिक्षा दे रहा है, उसके साथ साथ उनको टेक्नोलॉजी की आधुनिक शिक्षा दे रहा है, लेकिन वह शिक्षा नैतिक मूल्यों पर होना चाहिए, सबके विकास के लिए होनी चाहिए, ट्रस्टेड होनी चाहिए, विश्वास योग्य होनी चाहिए। क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग करते समय हमने अगर समझ से टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग नहीं किया तो उसकी दिशा गलत भी बन सकती है। और इसीलिए आध्यात्मिक धर्म और संस्कृति के नैतिक मूल्यों में पढ़ने वाला विद्यार्थी जवाबदेही और उत्तरदायी एआई टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग कर सकता है। और इस दिशा के अंदर निश्चित रूप से भारत काम कर रहा है, क्योंकि भारत के पास पावर है, ऊर्जा है भारत के पास। हम स्वच्छ ऊर्जा की ओर दुनिया में तेजी से बढ़ रहे हैं। मानव संसाधन हमारे पास नौजवान है, नैतिक मूल्य वालों नौजवान है, और उसका सोच अद्भुत चिंतन है, और उसका विश्वास, आत्मविश्वास भी अद्भुत है। और इसीलिए हमारी स्पीड और स्केल बहुत तेजी से बढ़ रही है। ये दुनिया भारत की ओर देख रही हो। आपने भी देखा होगा, सभी राष्ट्र अध्यक्षों की निगाह भी भारत की ओर है, और उन्होंने भी कहा है कि निश्चित रूप से भारत टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर, एआई सेक्टर के अंदर एक अच्छा काम कर रहा है, और जिस तेजी से काम कर रहा है, जिस स्केल में काम कर रहा है, निश्चित रूप से वह आगे बढ़ेगा। हमारी हमेशा सोच और चिंतन में सर्वजन हिताय सर्वजन सुखाय है। हम दुनिया को परिवार मानते हैं, वसुदेव कुटुंबकम हमारी संस्कृति है, और हमारा विचार सर्वजन हिताय और सर्वजन सुखाय का है। इसीलिए मुझे आशा है एआई टेक्नोलॉजी पर होने वाली एक कॉन्फ्रेंस निश्चित रूप से नई दिशा देगी, और हम इसका उपयोग पारदर्शी से करेंगे, जवाबदेही से करेंगे, विश्वास योग्य करेंगे। और टेक्नोलॉजी का उपयोग मशीनों से में इसका उपयोग है, लेकिन हमारा मानव संसाधन सही दिशा की ओर इसके काम को करेगा। मैं पुनः यहाँ पर आए सभी लोगों को बहुत बहुत साधुवाद देता हूँ, और इस चर्चा संवाद से हमें नई दिशा मिलेगी, और हम भारत के अंदर नैतिक मूल्यों के आधार पर समावेशी विकास के साथ, समावेशी लोकतंत्र के साथ एआई का उपयोग कर पाएंगे। आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
After the wonderful speech of Honorable Speaker, we are privileged to have Dr. Fadi Dao here. He is the chairman of the Globe Ethics. And there is one single question that I wanted to ask you, Dr. Dao, that you just listened to the excellent deliberation by Honorable Speaker and the variety of voices here. And India is a country with 27 official languages, 19,500 dialects. We have got more than 400 documented cultures. and we go with the belief and value of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So how do you see the way forward from here? If I can hear from you in 1 minute, please.
Thank you, dear Dr.
In 1 minute, we have to say.
So, Honorable Speaker, Excellencies, dear moderator and friend, Dr. Chinmay Pandya, thank you for the question and the opportunity. I would like to highlight that the AI Impact Summit in India is organized around 7 chakras. And the first one of these chakras is about human capital. And this, my first part of my answer, is the following. Artificial intelligence should not only be about a new technological frontier, but also and mainly about a new way of capitalizing on the human intellectual, social, and ethical intelligence for a flourishing future for all. And then the title of our panel is on AI for and not against democracy. And this is my second and last conclusion, is that safety and inclusion should be embedded in the development and the deployment of all AI systems, but also we need digital and AI literacy for all people as a universal human rights. And I'm grateful for India, the largest nation in the world, for reminding us that through this summit and the purpose of AI democratization is not people's manipulation or domination. India is reminding us also today that the purpose of AI is the social empowerment and participation of all people. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say on behalf of Globe Ethics, my organization that is based in Geneva, that we are committed to capitalize on the outcomes of the summit and this panel in the perspective of the 2027 summit in Geneva, where we would like to welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dao. And very shortly, Lord Raval is with us from House of Lords, also a devout member of the Gayatri Parivar. If you could kindly shed a light on the way that India should take now for democracy.
Thank you, Paya. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the tenets of Gayatri Parivar that I grew up in is the adaptability to change. Change is such an intrinsic part of the entire fraternity. And that is, I think, a real advantage, because what will happen, the big cost of AI is the speed with which technology is advancing, which can really make people unsettled. And the uncertainty, as a politician, I need to contain people's uncertainty. And I think this preparedness for change, Chinmay Bhaiya, which is a cardinal value of your organization, will really help people. There's other things I could say, but I'll leave it at that because we're pressed for time. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for felicitations. So on behalf of India AI Mission, Government of India, and all World Gayatri Parivar, Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, please put your hands together for a wonderful session, and we express our gratitude towards our Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Guest of Honors, and Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, all World Gayatri Parivar in itself started a very wonderful program, like when we are integrating artificial intelligence with spirituality. We are talking about future of faith. In Interfaith Dialogues worldwide, Dr. Chinmay Pandya ji is representing the thought, and today on this very wonderful gathering, we once again thank our honorable guests of honors, honorable distinguished speakers, and all the participants. Thank you once again. Do visit Shanti Kunj Haridwar, Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, and you can scan the QR code on the screen so that you can get a very wonderful gift afterwards once you scan and you put your... Please put your hands together. एक बार जोरदार तालियों से फिर से हम बड़े ही हृदय से आभार करते हैं हमारे माननीय स्पीकर लोकसभा आदरणीय श्री ओम बिरला जी का और हमारे सभी सम्मानित अतिथियों का एक बार जोरदार तालियों से अभिनंदन, धन्यवाद सभी का। थैंक यू। अगला सत्र प्रारंभ हो रहा है, आप सभी सहयोग के लिए बने रहें। थैंक यू। QR कोड सामने जो आपको दिख रहा है, इसको आप स्कैन करें ताकि आपको इस कार्यक्रम के लिए धन्यवाद और विशेष गिफ्ट दिया जा सके। धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।